Hello all, hope you are all keeping very well. Now, before we head over to the main show, I've got a quick update about the future of the podcast. Now, from August, I'll be back to releasing brand new shows, that's new content, so back to brand new shows from August. And I've also decided to move both my email newsletters and this podcast over to my new Substack account. I shall put the link in the show notes, so if you're interested, you can join me over on Substack. Now, I plan to keep releasing weekly podcast episodes each Friday as usual, but the difference is the full podcast will only be available through my Substack. I'll keep doing a mini sort of sample episode that's available and released on the usual Spotify, Apple, etc., wherever you usually listen to this podcast. But the main show will be delivered direct to your inbox through my Substack. So I hope you'll be able to join me over there. And as I say, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can get set up there in time for August. Well, that's it for the housekeeping. Now on to the show. Section 1. Here's some conversation phrases beginning with the letter B. By the way. By the way. Now you can say this if you want to mention or ask about an unrelated topic, or if you want to change the topic. So here's some example sentences using the phrase, by the way. I ran into Mark yesterday. By the way, he said to say hi and that he misses hanging out with you. By the way, thanks so much for helping me move last weekend. I really appreciated it. I finally finished that book you lent me. By the way, did you still want to borrow my copy of the sequel? Between you and me. Now you can say this phrase to someone when you're about to tell them a secret. Between you and me. Here's some example sentences using this phrase. Between you and me, I think the new boss is considering layoffs. Keep it to yourself for now. Between you and me, I think the new boss is considering layoffs. Keep it to yourself for now. Between you and me, I don't really like Janet's new boyfriend. There's just something about him that seems off. Between you and me, I don't really like Janet's new boyfriend. There's just something about him that seems a bit off. You didn't hear this from me, but between you and me, Sam and Chris are planning to start their own business. You didn't hear this from me, but between you and me, Sam and Chris are planning to start their own business. Better late than never. Better late than never. Now you can use this phrase when you're glad something's happened, but you wish it happened sooner. So here's some example sentences where you might hear this phrase being used. This report is overdue, but I'm turning it in now. Better late than never, right? We finally got around to painting the bedroom after 3 years of talking about it. Better late than never. We finally got around to painting the bedroom after 3 years of talking about it. Better late than never. I'm finally signing up for that 5K race, even though it's just a few weeks away. Better late than never, though. Believe it or not. Here's some example sentences using this phrase, believe it or not. This may be hard to believe, but believe it or not, I won the lottery on my first try. Believe it or not, Jeff didn't learn how to ride a bike until he was 15. We made it from San Francisco to LA in under 2 hours. Believe it or not, there was no traffic. Back in the day, or back in the old days. Now you can say this if you're talking about a time long ago or a time much earlier in your life. So here's some example sentences that we hear this phrase used. I remember back in the day when mobile phones were these giant bricks, not like the smartphones we have today. Things were so different back in the day before social media took over the world. Making mixtapes for your friends was popular back in the day before Spotify and iTunes. Section 2. One strategy for spontaneous speech. When my daughter had her mock German speaking exam, her teacher, although generally impressed with her efforts, thought she needed to be more spontaneous when talking. Does this feel familiar? Spontaneity is really hard to achieve when you're struggling with nerves and anxiety, and you're trying to find the correct vocab and sentence construction, and you're trying to get the pronunciation spot on. I think some of this stems from a lack of confidence in the sound of your own voice speaking a different language or accent. You just aren't used to hearing yourself this way, and if you are more of an introverted character, having to speak out loud is really uncomfortable. So to work out her spontaneity muscle, I've suggested that on our next car drive, she should narrate what she sees. Get used to speaking off the cuff and focus on the flow of what to say and ideas she can incorporate into her observations. Start with the basics. Weather, buildings, animals, people, colours. What are they doing? Or what do you think they're doing? Walking to work? Listening to Spotify as they jog? Are they friends or are they arguing? What type of shops do you see? Describe the landscape, etc. It will feel really weird and awkward at first, but you'll soon think of different things to say and different ways of saying it. Consider taking a notepad to note down any words you're not sure of the pronunciation with, and you can always drop me an email with your pronunciation query. Spontaneity will become a little more familiar. Have a great week and enjoy the opportunities to speak spontaneously. Section 3. S at the end of words. The pronunciation of the S sound can pose all sorts of problems irrespective of your native language. But what can cause much confusion is knowing the correct sound to make when the S appears at the end of a word. There are 4 reasons why an S may be added at the end of a word. 1. To create a plural. 2. To conjugate a verb. 3. To show possession. 4. To create a contraction. But the reasons don't help us know exactly how the final S should be pronounced. In an ideal world, the S sound should be one single recognisable sound, used for all occasions. However, it isn't as simple as that in British English. How to pronounce the final S will depend on the sound that goes before this final S. So, to pronounce the final S sound as an IS sound, if S, S, Z, Z, Ch, Ch, J, J, X, X, or Sh, Sh, is the preceding sibilant sound. For example, misses, prizes, watches, changes, boxes, races, wishes. Now we pronounce the final S sound as an S sound if P, P, K, K, T, T, the unvoiced TH, th, and F, F, is the unvoiced preceding sound. For example, stops, walks, cats, myths, sniffs. The final S sound should be pronounced with a Z sound if the final sound of the word is voiced, such as B, B, D, D, G, G, L, L, M, M, N, 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 R, R, V, V, and the voiced TH, V. So we hear it in crabs, rides, bags, calls, dreams, pens, sings, wears, shelves, clothes. So there we have the 3 different ways that we can pronounce the final S sound, as a is, s, or z. Section 4. Does your accent mark you out? Cast your mind back to the 2019 Trump impeachment trial, the one about Russia meddling in the 2016 US elections. Do you remember a very impressive witness called Fiona Hill, who comprehensively rebuked and debunked any nonsense conspiracy theories concocted by the Trump Republican team? She cut a serious, unflappable and blunt figure and delivered her testimony with authority and a northeast English accent. Her accent turned my head as soon as she opened her mouth. I'd no idea she was British and had expected a neutral American accent, similar to those in the room of men that surrounded her. But recently I happened to catch an interview with her where she talked about the influence her voice and accent has had on her life. Interestingly, she believed that her accent was more advantageous to her in the US than it would have been in the UK. In Britain, sometimes the northeast accent can be marked as like a working-class accent, which can itself bring its own negative connotations. Whereas she was told by Trump that she'd be nothing without that accent. When specifically talking about Trump and his general dismissiveness to female members of staff, she also noted that he considered voices of a higher register or pitch to be a sign of weakness. Having a notably female-sounding voice like Fiona's was clearly a negative in his book. Accent and gender are still very consequential, even in 2023. Do you want your accent to stand out in the crowd, or would you rather be recognised for your abilities, disposition, and intelligence? If you'd like your English to be spoken in a neutral, clear voice, I can help you with the aid of my British Accent Bundle. So why not make a start on it this weekend? Thanks again for listening, and don't forget the podcast will be moving to my Substack, link to join in the show notes. I hope you can join me there. In the meantime, have a great week, and bye for now.